Okay, if you're at home, please take a moment to write down the 3 bell work problems. Notice that the answers are also given, so when you complete your work, check your answer. If you didn't get the right answer, go back and figure out what you did wrong. Go ahead and pause the video to complete your work. Okay, today is Unit 1, Lesson 1. The date is 8/14 on pages 12-13 in your table of contents, and the lesson is Basic Geometry Vocabulary, Points, Lines, and Planes. Go ahead and transfer this information into your table of contents on page 5. Okay, so again, please feel free to pause the video whenever you need to. You should now be on page 12. The lesson is 1.1, solving two-step equations, and your objective is I can identify properties of points, lines, and planes. So pause to write that in your notebook, please. At this time, I would like you to watch the extra video that I have attached in this lesson. And when you're done with that, you can come back to this presentation. You do not need to take notes during the video. Okay, so our first vocabulary word is point. You need to write the term or the vocabulary word. You need to have a representation, which is a picture of what it looks like, which will go in here. And then you also can have a name over here, not so much important with the point, but when we get into lines and line segments and such, it will be important. You also need to have a space for a definition. So take a minute, pause the video to write all that in your notebook. Okay, our next vocabulary term is line. The representation is in the middle. The name is over on the right, and the definition is any 2 points can make a line. And the line extends infinitely in both directions. I want you to pay special attention to the notation of the line. Notice over here under the name that the line AB has an arrow on each end. That's how we name a line. So I could name this line AB going this way. I could also name it BA going the other way. Also, sometimes you will see a notation like this where they put a little extra letter up next to the line. It's also called line M. So there are actually 3 different ways to name this line. This is a line segment. Notice it has a point on each end. Okay, so it does not go forever. It stops at each end point. And the notation is AB with a line, just a line over the top, no arrows, no nothing. That is a line segment notation. I could also call this line segment BA. I could go the other direction. So I could go this way and name my line segment, or I could go this way and name my line segment. The order does not matter. Definition of a line segment is bounded by 2 distinct endpoints and contains every point on the line between its endpoints. So if you're wondering what that means, here's what it means. I can have I don't need just those 2 points. I can have as many points as I want. That's also true for a line and array, which is what we're going to talk about next. I don't just have to have 2 points. I could have more than 2, or as many as I want, actually. Okay, array. Notice the representation. The drawing has an endpoint on one end and an arrow on the other end. That means it stops on one side and keeps going in the other direction. Think of a sun's ray. Down here, the rays coming out of the sun, okay, headed towards Earth. Okay, the rays come out of the sun and only go well, actually they can go different directions, but they're generating out of the sun. Okay, notice the notation of the ray. It only has an arrow on one end, okay, in the direction of which is where it's pointing. Okay, please be careful when you're naming your rays. The order does matter. I have to call this ray AB. I have to call this ray AB. I cannot call this ray BA. That is out. You cannot do that. It has to be called ray AB. And definition of a ray is a line with a single endpoint that extends infinitely in one direction. That means it goes on forever. Opposite rays are two rays that have the same endpoint and extend in opposite directions, creating a line. Okay, so for example, these are not opposite rays because they do not make a line. Okay, they have to make a straight line. Okay, the name ray PQ and PR are opposite rays. So again, notice this notation, ray PQ. Here is my point and it's extending this direction. Okay, I could not call that ray QP. I have to call it ray PQ. And then ray PR, which is from here again, going this way. Okay, notice that they make a line. Those are opposite rays. Okay, and also I want you to think about the differences in the notation between the line rays and the line segments. What that means is, how would I write line AB? What would go on the top? Would it be a line with two arrows? Would it be just a line, or would it be a line with an arrow on one end only? Okay, identify this image. Is this a line, a ray, or a line segment? If you said it is a line, you are correct. Name the three different ways to identify this image. You could say it is line CD. You could say it is line DC. Or you could say it is line K. Don't forget this little notation up here. That is also a letter designation for the line. Okay, identify this image. Is it a line, array, or a line segment? If you said it is a line segment, you are correct. Now see if you can name two different ways to identify it, or name the two different ways to name the image. If you said line segment EF, or you could say line segment FE, either one is correct. Again, with the line segment, order does not matter. How many different line segments do you see here? If you said 3, you are correct. Okay, so I have this line segment right here, line segment EF. I also have this line segment right here, FG, but I also have a larger line segment from here to here, so I have a third line segment that goes all the way from E to G. So I have EF, I have FG, and I also have EG. What does this image represent? If you said it is a ray, you are correct. How would I name the ray? If you said EF with a line with an arrow on one end, you are correct. Again, you cannot name that ray FE. It has to start with the endpoint and go away from the endpoint. Okay, describe this image. Last one. If you said opposite rays, you are correct. Name the rays. If you said ray BA, again, make sure that you're getting that order correct. Ray BA, this is the endpoint and it's going this way. And ray, can you guess what the other one is? BC. Okay, rays BA and BC. Okay, a little more vocabulary. A plane. Okay, it's basically a flat surface with points or lines or rays or whatever you want to put on it. It extends forever in all directions, and it is named by 3 points on the plane that are not on the same line. So, for example, we could name this plane A, B, C, because A, B, and C do not line up. They can't be on the same line. Also notice that sometimes you will see a little letter up in one of the corners. You could also call that plane M. So if there is no notation, no letter notation like this, then we would call it by its 3 points. Take a moment, pause the video, copy that into your notebook. To get a better idea of what a plane is, this is an image of a plane on a plane. The plane, the airplane, is sitting on a surface, and the surface is actually a plane. Okay, collinear points. Points that lie on the same line. So, for example, A, B, C, and D, all of these points are collinear on line M. Okay? E, F, and G, these points here are not collinear points. They do not lie on the same line as the other points, also known as line M. Coplanar objects. Okay, so we have, if you can see, we have multiple things that are lying on this plane. So I have points, I have a ray, I have a line, also have a line segment, and here's another point. So I have a bunch of geometrical shapes that lie on the surface. On the same plane, those objects are said to be coplanar. And here's what it might look like for an object to be not coplanar. So over on the left side here, I've got point A, C, and B are 3 different points that are actually on that surface. But point G over here is not on the surface. It has risen above the surface. So it is not coplanar with D, E, and F. All right, getting close to the end. Intersecting lines make a point. So 2 lines that cross make a point. Intersecting planes, so here's your 2 surfaces. Intersecting planes make a line. All right, true or false? Point B lies on line DA. If you said true, you are correct. Ray BF and ray BE are collinear. Ray BF and ray BE are collinear. If you said false, you are correct. They do not go in opposite directions and they do not make a line. Therefore, they are not collinear. The objects shown are coplanar. True or false? If you said true, you are correct. Name 2 points that are not collinear. Well, there's a whole bunch of them up there. You could say that D and E are not collinear because they do not lie on the same line. You could say C and A are not collinear because they do not lie on the same line. So collinear, as long as they are not on the same line, they are not collinear. Name two opposite rays. All right, so you could pick either BA, there's a couple of sets up here, BA and BD are collinear, or you could pick BF and BC. Those rays are collinear. Okay, this concludes the lesson. You can go ahead and start on your homework. Please don't forget to format it neatly in pencil and box in your answers, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.